This is Steve Bannon warns against cutting Medicaid. Let me show you something.
Again, I'll go ahead and cut waste. They say in the Social Security office they found 20 million people who are supposedly over 100 years old.
They didn't. They didn't find 20 million people who are supposedly over 100 years old. There are 90,000 checks going out to people over the age of 100. The general belief is that at any given time there are 85,000 to 90,000 people in this country that are over the age of 100. It tracks. There are situations where people don't have a death certificate because they went missing, or there's still a dispute over their cause of death, or they moved away, and then some people might have the right to their Social Security at some point, so their name is still in the books and it kept track of it till then, but they're not getting checks. And 20 million people are not getting checks. They're not doing it. It's not happening. Not a thing. They're not going to show up. I'm calling it. And feel free to prove me wrong, motherfucker. Please show me the books. And I want it printed, and I want somebody to go through it on C-SPAN, checking it against death certificates for real. I'm not going to just, because they print out a bunch of paper, I'm going to buy it because it's a stack of paper. I want to see the check stubs that went out to 20 million people who are 110 years plus. Tell you what, show me 10. And show me 10 that went out for more than a year. You think that's going to happen? You think they're actually going to go, we found 20 million people who are over 140 years old or 110 years old plus. We found them. Did you? Is there a check going out? No. Well, then you didn't find them, did you? What you found was a part of the records where they either were overlooked because they were presumed dead, or they moved away, or whatever, or there was a lawsuit about who should get their SSI for 10 years and it's been held in probate and it's in a fucking loop. And so it's frozen in place, or they don't have a direct cause of death, or they didn't get a death certificate filed a long time ago, so it's been sitting empty because it was back when everything was fucking paper records. You didn't find 20 million people who are getting 20 million fucking SSI checks every week that don't exist. Yeah, Social Security never received their death certificate. That's it. But the checks don't keep going out. It's dumb. Find it. And by the way, anybody who doesn't know that that's been a problem with the system, I showed you this before. Hold on. These dumb motherfuckers. I don't even need to see this asshole. Like, it's so lame. Okay. Social Security system death certificates over 120, whatever. Okay. We'll find this thing. All right. Yeah, here you go. This is, it doesn't take, and this doesn't even take much. You lazy sons of bitches. Tens of millions of dead people aren't getting Social Security checks despite Trump and Musk claims. The Trump administration is falsely claiming that tens of millions of dead people over 100 years old are receiving Social Security. Okay, no, they're not. It's a huge problem. It is true that improper payments have been made, including some to dead people, but the numbers thrown out by Musk in the White House are overstated. Here's the facts. I don't care what they say. Okay. How big of a problem is okay? July 2024 report from Social Security Inspector General states that from fiscal years 2015 to 2022, the agency paid out almost $8.6 trillion in benefits. $8.6 trillion, including $71.8 billion, or less than 1%, in improper payments. Most of those erroneous payments were overpayments to living people. In addition, in early January, the U.S. Treasury clawed back more than 31 million with an M, in a variety of federal payments, not just Social Security payments, that improperly went to dead people, a recovery that former Treasury official David Lambert said was just the tip of the iceberg. Whether it was or not is a matter of contention. The money was reclaimed as part of a 5-month pilot program after Congress gave the Department of Treasury temporary access to the Social Security Administration's full death master file for 3 years as part of the Omnibus Appropriations Bill in 2021. Thank you, Joe Biden. The SSA maintains the most complete federal database of individuals who have died, and the file contains more than 142 million records, which go back to 1899, according to Treasury. Treasury estimates in January that it would recover more than 250 million during its 3-year access period, which runs from December 2023 through 2026. This is stuff that's already happening. These discoveries and these kind of like savings that they're finding, that they're talking about in this instance, that Doge is pretending to find, is part of a program that was put in place by the Biden administration in 2021. And still, nothing. So are tens of millions of people over 100 years? No. Part of the confusion comes from the Social Security software system based on the COBOL programming language, which is has a lack of data type. It's very millennia flaw kind of stuff. Yeah, they use COBOL. This means that some entries with missing or incomplete birth dates will default to a reference point of more than 150 years ago. The news organization Wired first reported on the use of COBOL programming language at the Social Security Administration. Additionally, a series of reports from Social Security Administration's Inspector General in March of 2023 and July of 2024 state that the agency has not established a new system to properly annotate death information in its database, which included roughly 18.9 million Social Security numbers of people born in 1920 or earlier, but were not marked as deceased. This does not mean, however, these individuals were receiving benefits. The agency decided not to update the database because the cost to do so would run upward of $9 million. That's it. You want to solve this problem? You're not going to save millions of dollars. You're going to spend millions of dollars. That's it. They're not going to find that a bunch of people are getting paid out to call it. A July 2023 Social Security OIG report states that almost none of the number holders discussed in the report currently receive SSA payments. It's about 85,000, which is how many over 100-year-old people there are in the country. What are some of the concerns of misinformation about this? Okay. What does the White House say? Carolina, a previous investigation revealed that SSA paid $71.8 billion in improper payments. Social Security Administration is now working to find even more waste, fraud, and abuse in administration. Okay. Yeah, a previous investigation, not by you guys, largely under the Obama administration. You know why? Because they were trying to pay for the fucking ACA. So they were clawing back costs, just like Trump is trying to do, but he's trying to do it with a with his stupid tax cut. Where are you silly thing? All right. So anyways, back to this dipshit for 1 second.
Can that possibly be real?
Well, Crystal Ball debunked it in a very mealy-mouthed Fauci way by saying, no, it's a problem with, they have like an old program that they're using, and that's probably why they're getting those readings. It was not the debunking I was promised from the title, I'll tell you that.
And it was from a chick. So, right, Kurt?
So here's what Bannon has to
And by the way, is he live streaming from a fucking bus stop?
say about this, cutting Medicaid and Medicare.
The budget committee is trying to get to, I understand they're going to vote it out tonight. Hey, here's all, I want to know how many cuts, and the same with Steve, they're dealing with the fiscal 2026 budget, fine. Show me the $1 trillion in cuts. I don't want a $2 trillion deficit. I want to see it cut in half. How'd you do it? What they're talking about, the $1.5 trillion over 10 years, that's $150 billion a year. Now, I realize it's maybe taken differently, but it's $150 billion a year. It's not going to work. And to back it up, if you got the CR on the 14th, we got to fund the government going forward, or maybe not. But I don't see him shutting down President Trump's government in his first 100 days. It's, how can we possibly have a $2 trillion deficit? Where are the Doge cuts? We need them all. They've had enough time to identify at least the waste, fraud, and abuse in these different organizations. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Also, I don't know why there's classical music playing. Is Steve being walked off? Is he accepting some sort of award for shittiest mantle? Also, I don't know why. I guess Jimmy's show is just him watching Steve Bannon now. Is that the show?
Because they'll go through a lot more refinement. Even after approval, we have to know directionally where we are. And it
Sorry, it was all bullshit, Joel.
galls me. They're working off Biden's number. I hope it galls the president. I think when the president's fully briefed and fully informed, it'll gall him big league. I think he'll say, what in the hell are we doing here with Biden's numbers? It's an interesting question. I think it's generally confusion and mayhem with Capitol Hill, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some logic here. Maybe they're making some progress on this.
You want me to? Can I solve it for you? I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt your viewing time, Jimmy. What are you just going? Maybe I should try wearing 4 shirts. What's going on? So, can I just explain it? There are not that many cuts to make. There's some, bloviated anti-woman, anti-trans, anti-gay, anti-job creation, anti-homeless stuff that you guys can throw around that you consider a waste of money. But there aren't billions and billions in waste, fraud, and abuse because it's not a company. They're talking about it like someone is embezzling from a company. And they aren't. Because a company, you can embezzle the profits of a company and maybe destroy the company in the process, but the purpose of the company is to make money and give that money to the investors or the people who own the company or the board and to pay the salaries. But the government is a service, and the service is more important than the money, no matter what you do. And that's always going to be a problem for Republican governance. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think they actually want to do it in the first place. Again, the motto of Republicans is government can't do anything right. Elect me and I'll prove it.
But until we see the math, and I mean hundreds of billions of dollars of cuts, hundreds of billions of dollars of cuts, and stop whining about entitlements, get into that discretionary spending, get into the Pentagon, get into Medicaid. Medicaid, you got to be careful because a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. I'm telling you.
Look at Jimmy. Like, they want to cut Medicaid. Yeah, we know, motherfucker. That's what we were talking about. Yeah, they're going to cut Medicaid. That's what he thinks. But they're afraid to because there's a bunch of maggots on it. MAGA's all over that shit. Again, they're not going to find these cuts. They're going to make them up. The more they talk about a $23,000 comic book for to support trans people, the more they're flailing. Every single thing they bring up in the millions is a pathetic admission that they're not anywhere near the fucking goal they said would be easy to find. It's bullshit. They know it. And Elon and the Doge bags aren't even in it for the cuts. They're there for the information they can get access to because it's fucking priceless. So they are using the illusion that they're going to cut from because by the time people wake up to it, they're not going to blame Doge for not finding the cuts. They're going to assume they found all the ones they could find that the Congress could stomach. All the weight of it will shift to the Republicans in the House and the Senate for not. And they'll just make up all these, like, we gave them $500 million and they won't do it, right? They'll shift it onto them and then they'll beat feet. They'll leave town with all of your social security numbers and all of your fucking backdoors to bank accounts and all the fucking the treasury information on like the leadership and everybody at every bank and federal and financial institution in the country, right? Never mind what they might get by looking, going into the military. And again, not going to happen. Like that, that's where the wall comes up. When they start going over, like, we're going to let them go over to the Pentagon. Believe me. That's when Trump's phone won't stop ringing and everybody freaks the fuck out. Yeah, don't panic. But watch as these guys eat themselves. But it's a show. Doge is nonsense. Yeah, Doge is TikTok. Yeah, it's a fucking farce. USA is going down fast. It isn't actually, though. Master 303. It isn't. It's a lot more resilient than they want. That's what I'm saying. Even these cuts aren't going anywhere because the debt isn't that bad, and they know it. They know it. We have a $27 trillion economy. The addition of AI is going to add an extra $15 trillion over the next decade at least. Probably $5 trillion every 2 years. No matter what anybody does. If you don't collapse the whole thing, even if you do, the bounce back, they know they're going to buy it. That's why Wall Street's not that afraid of Trump. Because they'll just wait and buy the dip. They're sitting on cash. They know it's far more resilient.